day, everybody. My name is Bogolo Ntombela, and today I'm going to be having the pleasure of speaking with Prof. Phaswana as well as Ms. Melefi. With me, I have their autobiographies, which I want to read to you so that you can understand the women in whose presence I'm in. So, Miss Nene is a South African born and grew up in Soweto, Johannesburg. She's an experienced consultant and facilitator with a track record that spans over 20 years. She's the owner and CEO of Mandate Melefi, HR consultant. Her expertise is around culture change, diversity, equity, and inclusion, transformation strategy, value-driven leadership, and leadership development. Nene has facilitated dialogues, spoken at many other conferences around the world, including Germany, Bangladesh, Dubai, USA, India, Malaysia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia, and Kenya. She has been mentioned in the Global Talent Competitiveness Index 2018 report as an example of the international thought leader on diversity and inclusion. So as you have heard, she is quite an extensive woman who is well resourced and well knowledgeable in her knowledge and is an expert in her knowledge. So let's allow Ms. Nene to also say something to us as she introduces herself.
Thank you very much, Bogolo, and I'd like to thank everybody who's watching us today. And I'm glad to be here. I hope we'll be able to share the wisdom that God has given us to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And next to her, we have Prof. Edith Phaswana. So Prof. Edith Phaswana is an associate professor at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs at UNISA. She previously served as acting head of the Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute. She is also the current president of the South African Development Studies Association. She is the recipient of the 2019 Mail and Guardian Top 100 Women Changing South Africa. Edith obtained her PhD from London South Bank University in the UK. Apart from her academic commitments, she teaches at the several prestigious programs. Number one, Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute, and number two, the U.S. presidential program called Young African Leaders Institute, better known as YALI. Mandela Institute for Development, and number three, Mandela Institute for Development Studies Leadership Program, known as MINDS as well. Edith is the co-editor of the award-winning title Black Academic Voices, the South African Experience. She has provided research and advisory services and policy reviews for the government of South Africa at national and provincial level. Experience in the board directorship includes serving as trustees of the Old Mutual Education Trust and executive board member on UNISA Thabo Mbeki Foundation Partnership, and the University of Johannesburg Pumani Paper Partnership as well. Previously, Edith was a member of the faculty at the University of Johannesburg, where she won an award for Distinguished Teaching Excellence in Humanities in 2014. Edith continues to provide leadership, research, advisory, and consulting service in various organizations. So I will also now hand over to her so that she may introduce herself as well.
Good day, SDASA members, and I'm glad to be here. And thank you, Nene, for that introduction. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to great debate, great engagement with Me, Nene, and Bogolo. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. So now that we have better acquainted with the ladies that are in our midst, there are just some key questions that we wanted to deliberate on and have an understanding that them being Christian women in the corporate space, in the academic space, what are their key values and how do they ensure that the work that they engage in and with the people of business, with people and business are aligned? Because they're not just women, right? They're not just professionals, but they're Christian women. So that's the question that I just want to pose to them, that how do they align their key values with business and people in their workplace?
Well, firstly, I think it's important for us to state what are our values. I've got a few set of values that I have lived by, and the first one is respect. And I know we often just talk about it as if it's cliche. The work that I do, for example, I often, when I teach issues of inclusion, I often say, engage with respect, okay? Leave someone's dignity intact. We can differ, but there is nothing for me as concerning as somebody engaging with you and shattering you as if you are nothing, as I've often seen that. So respect is very important for me. Integrity is another one. When we own business, even if we don't own businesses, there's so much temptation currently around doing some underhand business and that. So for me, integrity and ethics are uppermost in the way I want to, and I'm conducting my business. Excellence, that one I need to emphasize. I love Proverbs 18 verse 9. In the Message version, it says, sloppy work, slack habits and sloppy work are the same as vandalism. I never forget that. The Message version for me just hits home. When you are busy with sloppy work, and when you are busy with slack habits, God says it's the same as a vandal out there. So whatever it is that we do, if we learn to do our work with excellence, as if Jesus is sitting next to you, whether you own a business, whether you are employed, whether you're at university, it doesn't matter. Can we show up with excellence? Another value for me is justice. I really think there are so many injustices at the moment. And as Christians, I believe that we must be upstanders. I really believe that we must speak up when there is injustice out there. Because we cannot say, no, I'm a Christian, I'm waiting for other people to talk. No, we must speak up and say, this is not right. And then faith. In my business, I don't only employ people who are Christians, but they know one of the values in my company is faith. And I've had to explain what I mean by that. Is that do your best, work hard, but at the end of it all, leave it to God. That faith actually works in the way we run our business. So I am proud of that value because, in fact, through it, many people have wanted to know, what do you actually mean? The last one is learning, continuous learning. It is said that leaders read. Great leaders read a lot. So I think continuous learning is one of the values that I'm hoping all of us, you as SDASA members, would really hold on to that you cannot be stagnant. You cannot sit on the knowledge that you got from university. You need to continuously learn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just want to dovetail on what you're just saying, because I think I had several values that are similar to you, but I want to not to repeat them, because I also have respect and I have faith as some of my values. But I want to say, for me, fairness is a value that I uphold very dearly. Remember, I'm working with students from different backgrounds in terms of the access to resources and the inequalities that happens here in this country. So I believe that one needs to be fair in everything that you are doing, and also need to be fair in how you mark. If a student comes late and today you allow one at 5 past, tomorrow someone comes and then it's the student that you like and you say come in. It's students can really see that very quickly, that somebody's being unfair. So fairness is very, very important. It's a value that I hold. I want to treat my students equally. I want to treat them in a similar way if I'm working with them. But also honesty. Honesty is something that I value as a teacher, and because one of the things is that people think you are a professor, you know everything. Be honest when you don't know, because that is an opportunity for you to learn. And you don't see some of the younger people that are in front of you as people who don't know. They know something. They have something that they know. They come with a vast amount of knowledge into the classroom. So honesty, where I work, it's a very important value that I hold. And I think God also wants us to be honest with ourselves and be honest where we are failing, so that He can be able to help us, so that other people also can be able to pray and intercede for us. God expects us to be honest with ourselves. Diversity is a value that I really hold very dear. to me, and particularly because of the background and the communities where one comes from. Diversity is not something that I created or you created, but God created this diversity. And He wanted us to see His magnanimity, His hugeness in this diversity. That's why He made different races, He made different ethnic groups, He made different flora and fauna. And for us to see who He is, that He does not come as one in one form. So when people use diversity to marginalize, to discriminate, and to disadvantage other people. That's why I hold it very dear in the work that I do and the students that I teach. And it becomes very, very, because we also come from unequal backgrounds. We come from, so when I do my work, those values, they really stand very on top of my list, including the respect that Mrs. Melefi has already mentioned, and faith, because without faith, and I must quickly just say something, that faith, where I work, when you have faith, it seems like it's unintelligible. You are not intelligent if you have faith. And it's difficult to operate. But this is where you need to stand firm, because some of our young people are struggling really hard. And you can see that these things can be solved by somebody having faith. And it's really hard because the policies don't allow you to talk to them. You are imposing your religion on people when you do that. But I believe that SDASA members, wherever you are, the faith that you have, hold on to it. Thank you.
All right, you've both said quite a mouthful, and just to recap on that, so for Ms. Melefi, you are saying that you're looking for integrity, you are looking at respect, you're looking at honesty as things that you hold valuable for you as a Christian woman, which I can't help but think of the verse that says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Because if you're expecting to receive the respect, then you need to be the one giving it as well. And coming to you, Prof, just hearing you speaking about fairness and equality, that everybody needs to be treated fairly. There's a verse in Ecclesiastes that also speaks about the race is not to the swift. Yes. So you are basically leveling the playing field for everybody, to say that just because you are from a certain background, when we come here, the play field is leveled.
Even Paul says there's no Jew nor Gentile. And
correct.
Yes, exactly.
So the diversity is being embraced then, to say that we're embracing our diversity and nobody is superior to the next person. So that is something that is quite powerful. Which brings me to my next question that I wanted to understand. What do you consider then to be your best quality, and how have these qualities propelled you forward in your careers? Because now, with the type of women that you are, upholding these values that you have, what do you then consider to have been your best qualities that when you look back you think, wow, this is definitely something that has helped me to get to where I am today?
For me, I want to mention one. There are many, but one that I often hear also people repeating, that resilience, staying power. I really, this is my 23rd year owning my business. And as you know, it's peaks and valleys. And what's important is to stay there, to know, and that is why I like John 14, where it talks about connect to the vine, stay connected to the vine. Because if you do not abide, as God says, if you do not abide, then whatever fruit that you think you're producing will not be useful. So for me, what has really helped me is that even when things are bad, I think you can ask anybody who owns a business, sometimes things go, I wouldn't even know how am I going to pay the salaries of all the people that I've employed. And I get into my office, I close the door, and I said, Lord, there is no way you're going to embarrass me. I pray, because every morning in my office, we also pray as well. And I've got people who are Jewish, who whatever, and they agree that I own the business, and I'm not doing imposing it. I'm saying I open the meetings with prayer and all that, and we pray. And they can see that even when things are bad, God has come through. So I think for me, resilience is really one of those qualities. And I think the other one, because I'm in there, is inclusion. But I think just the same as Prof. Edith has mentioned. But I just wanted to stay on you cannot be resilient on your own. That one is a fallacy. You will be resilient because you are connected to the vine.
I'm even embarrassed to say I have resilience.
Okay, that's good.
And I have opened John 15. It's
a testament to the type of women that you are.
Wow.
Right?
And I was looking at you, I was showing you, I'm trying to show you. And I think I'm going to leave it. I think you've done justice to it because I was coming to it. Resilience definitely has propelled me to where I am today. I mean, I have a history, a very sad history as well, where when I got married, my husband within 6 months passed on, and I was pregnant with our first child, and so resilience is what saw me through. And I went to the UK to study for my PhD. When I was there, 4 members of my family passed on during the 4 years I spent in the UK. And resilience. And I said, Edith, you are not going back. These people's life cannot be laid for nothing. You can't come back without this. So that's why resilience was one of the things that really became very important for me. But also the positive attitude that one has is one of my best qualities. When you have this positive attitude, also put a room for disappointment. You are working with people. When you are dealing with people, you really need to put a room for disappointment. We are not at a stage where we cannot expect perfection. People are trying to be perfect, but it's hard. Even we are trying, it's hard sometimes. But that's why I'm saying I see one of my best qualities to see positive things and positive people around me. Thank you.
All right, and there you have it, folks. Now we have heard stories that really bring out what it means to have perseverance, right, and endurance, and not only that, but being positivity, and again, which is something that is key, is leaving a room for disappointment, right? Because a lot of times we find ourselves saying, "But I did everything right. How come things didn't go my way?" So I think this is something powerful that is coming from experience, right? It's not just theory, but it's practical. Something that they have lived, and they even have stories to back up that. So that wraps up this part of the show. We're gonna take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll be speaking about when is it the right time to take risks in your career. Should you even take risks? So please join us again after the break. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, my name is Bogolo Ntombela, and with me, I'm with Prof. Phaswana as well as Ms. Melefi. So I wanted to ask, the question that I asked before the ad break was, when is the right time to take a risk in your career? Should you even take a risk, or should we just be risk averse and make sure that we stick to the black and white?
You know, I like that question because we often talk in corporate world, we talk about calculated risks, right? And for me, definitely, I'm where I am in my career because I've learned to take risks. If we go back to the Bible, you look at Deuteronomy 1 verse 6. I love it when God tells the children of Israel, you've been too long at this mountain. You know, sometimes you become so risk averse that you don't even move forward, even when it's time for you to jump, to take the opportunity. Put your foot first, then God will open the Red Sea. You know, it's you cannot wait for perfection because sometimes you don't even know how perfection look like. Some people have dreams in their heads. Some people have, you know, they have vision boards. They've put things together, but they never take that step. So for me, I've taken risks. Sometimes some of my friends have said, "Are you crazy?" Of course you take risks. You consult with God. And sometimes, as we all know, we Christians, God doesn't always answer like this. Yes, do it next week, Ikari 4. No, but you just have to have that faith that I said is one of my values. But you have to take risks. Otherwise, how are you going to grow? So I don't think being risk averse will take you any far. With prayer, of course, as a foundation. And then just say, Lord, you're not going to embarrass me. Take me forward. And he has done.
Yes, I think I also believe in both. I believe in taking risks, and I also believe in waiting.
Okay.
I think the Bible also compels us to wait in certain spaces. So I think in my career, there are moments where I have taken risks, and there are moments where I had to wait until I was ready. Partly because there are certain factors that one needs to take into account, especially when it comes to career, family life. Sometimes I realize that for the people that I love, I have to wait sometimes so that I am ready. And it has happened many times, and there are spaces where I have taken risk. For instance, I just want to give you an anecdote about instances where I had to wait. When I came back from the UK and I started working at UJ, my daughter was here at home, and there was this pressure to publish and become a professor. And I have a young girl who's becoming a teenager in my house, who was left also for some time with grandparents. And I needed to understand this young woman, help her grow, nurture her, and be present mother for the time lost, and catch up with her. And I had to be slow in terms of killing myself, and I had to sit down and help her, invest my time in raising her, presently being there for her teen, and to be able to assist her to become the young, strong woman she is today. So there are instances where I have waited until I was ready, and she passed matric, and then all my burden and my load went down. And I said, she's going to university. Now I can do the things that I wanted to do in my career. And indeed, I succeeded in them. Thank you.
Can I just
Yes.
add on?
Yes.
I just want to agree with Edith that it is very true that we need to wait when we need to wait. Mm-hmm. I think for me, when I see risk averseness as part of procrastination, that's where I think you are actually hiding behind something. Mm-hmm. Because, the word of God is very clear. You do not move a step without consulting God. And God, I like Jeremiah 33 verse 3 where you pray to say, can you reveal things that I'm not even aware of, God? Because I might have this thing that I need to go for it. And when you pray and you consult with God, God tells you that maybe not now. But when it's time, you feel that I have consulted, I've done my work, put your foot first. Put your foot and take the risk. And God will help you. As long as you've consulted God. Sometimes even if you've moved and you've made a mistake, He is such a loving God that He will not embarrass you. And God will take you out of that if you're just willing to walk and actually listen to Him. Yeah.
You are correct. Because when you are a woman, sometimes there are positions that you feel you cannot actually try them. But Philippians 4 verse 13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. It's not for men only. And those are the times when one also can stand up and take that risk to say, okay, they have advertised for vice chancellor, I am applying. Listen to the voices behind you. Everybody will say, Vice Chancellor, do you want to be a Vice Chancellor? You think you can be a Vice Chancellor? And you also, but if you are risk averse, you'll sit down and say, people say, I'm not ready. You see what I mean? So you need to jump in. The world has fed us with mediocrity, because mediocre individuals in leadership position, and we are watching and we are quiet, because people who could have taken the risk have sat down. Thank you.
Oh, wow. So what I'm hearing you ladies say is that timing is key.
Yes.
So that, and when the time comes, do not doubt or have second doubts or feel like, no, this is not for me. I think a lot of times I keep hearing one and the same thing, that the reason why men seem to thrive in their careers is because they are applying for jobs that they don't even qualify for.
Oh. True.
While women, we want to tick all the requirements first and make sure that I meet the requirements, then we apply, you know. But there are times where you need to just take that risk and say, perhaps I'm created for such a time as this, for this opportunity, because if not you, then who? What I'm also hearing is that with the risk, there's the element of timing and of faith again, which is a value that is coming again into the fore. That you then need to question your faith. That why answer the why, right? Why am I taking this risk? What is it that I'm trying to achieve? Because sometimes we can tend to take unnecessary risks. So I think that's where faith is then key to say, Lord, is it your will that I should be going in this direction or headed in this direction? And when it is, then we should not doubt. You know, it makes me think of the children of Israel. They're about to cross the Red Sea. And God says to Moses, why are you still praying? Go forward, right? That there comes a time where even prayer is not enough, where you need to stop praying and really act on your faith. Risky as it is when you're looking at the Red Sea that is in front of you, trust the God that has led you from Egypt to say, I'm going to step into this Red Sea with him, right? And that he's going to be there for me. So I think, there is a lot to learn from these women who have taken risks. I mean, you guys wouldn't be where you are had you not taken some of the risks that you took, had you not been trailblazers, you know. I mean, owning your own company, being president of a few institutions. I mean, that's something that is not heard of. It's something that you would expect it of a man, but had you not availed yourselves, then the opportunities wouldn't have come. Then it then makes me wonder then, which leads me to the next question, that then what skills and habits do we need as a person to break out of the plateau, right? That is needed for us to move to the next level, because certainly there are still those skills that we need that to help us propel us forward and to set us apart from everybody else.
Well, habits and skills, I mean, multiple habits, multiple skills, but I have with me here reading. Reading is one of the habits that I've cultivated and has always taken me to the next level. Avoiding to read it's at your own peril. So what I'm trying to say, I think part of it is that, you know, self-study is very important. We go to school, we go to church, somebody's teaching at church, somebody's teaching at school, somebody's teaching at home. That is not enough. It can never be enough. What we do, people are just cutting a curriculum or cutting values that they need to instill, while there's so many things that one can get from doing self-study. So that's why self-study becomes a very, very important value. And I think sacrificing those 2-3 hours each day, sacrificing them to read something, I am telling you, you will not actually regret it. It will propel you in any career. I don't care whether you are in the corporate sector, you are in government, you are in business, you are in education, whatever we are doing, whatever, invest your time in reading and understanding your field and becoming the master of your field, understanding what is needed for you. So those are some of the skills, but also prayer. Yes. Prayer. Centeredness is very important. You know, if you cannot invest some of your 30 minutes, even 10 minutes when it's hard, there are times where I stand up in meetings and I'm just going to pray and be able to center myself, because I can see that this meeting is hot or I'm not happy with it. And I take a little break and a little break of prayer. It's go into the bathroom and talk to someone, you know, talk to someone who understands the situation, who controls the situation that you find yourself in. And I think those are some of the habits that one needs to cultivate, because if you are not centered, so many things can take you and put you down. So people the world over are struggling with depression, even within the church. People are struggling with depression because of not investing their time in prayer and their quiet seclusion with God.
I love what Edith is saying around be a master in your field, because often we reach plateau either in our careers because you feel like there's a glass ceiling, or you feel that what else is available. You know, one of the things that I've seen is that YouTube can have such value in terms of searching. You know, while I'm an author myself, and I've written articles, whenever there's a new book by an expert in my field, I buy that book and I read so that I'm able to advance my own knowledge. I go to TED Talks, I go to YouTube, because there is such a lot that you can get and learn from that. We must never underestimate learning from each other, because this is the only way we'll go. You know, I also think that you spoke about depression, because sometimes plateau, you've got a low level of depression in a way. You know, the Harvard Business Review interview a few years ago, I read an article that they interviewed top CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and they said, can you share your daily practice? 3 things came out that were common in no particular order. Amongst them, it was prayer, meditation, journaling. Others did all the 3, some did 1, some did 2 of that, but that was the most common practice amongst them, that I spent time with myself, I meditate, I pray, I journal, because the rat race of this corporate world can take you from one corner to the other. You don't even have time to sit with your family. So I think it's important that part of the plateau is how can we educate ourselves through platforms that are available, but also just one tip. I always say there's a difference between mentor, coach, and sponsor. Look for these 3. Because a mentor is somebody in your own field who will help you, advance you. A coach is somebody who will help you with your career coaching, your goals. A sponsor is somebody who will almost be rooting for you. So I often say, look for these 3 types of people, because when you're feeling low, one of them will definitely inject some kind of vigor in you over and above. And I think that we are all departing from the fact that we pray. Because really, when you've reached your plateau, I like 1 Peter 5 verse 10, that says, part of it says, God says, after you have suffered a little while, He Himself will elevate you, will strengthen you, and put you on firm ground. So I really think that coupled with prayer, we should reach out to those who can help us, who can mentor us, but also educate ourselves.
100%. Those are really profound words that you've just shared. Prayer, you know, you've given me a different perspective of prayer, because I think often when we're speaking about prayer, we're thinking about what can I ask of the Lord, right? We never ever think about prayer as something that can help to center us again and help us to bring us back within ourselves and help us in our journey of self-management, you know. So that's really something that there's a paradigm shift that took place in my mind, that we do need prayer to be centered, so that God is that calming effect that you need when things seem to go south, you know. So that is something that's very, very powerful. And again, the emphasis on faith, that we need to have faith also to be able, but I think the greatest one also is the habit of reading, which is something that we often hear, but we still take for granted, right? That no, you should read, but we don't do it. It's not something that we invest in. Yet even in the book of Hosea, it is written that my people die because of lack of knowledge, right? So it is the lack of knowledge. So almost self-sabotage, I would put it, that if we are not in the spirit of, if we are not avid readers, then we are self-sabotaging our own careers. So it goes even beyond our spiritual lives. If you're not reading the Bible, you're sabotaging your spiritual life.
Look at what these prophets outside do to people, because people are not reading for themselves. And they can come and say, God says you can spray yourself with doom, your tongue with doom, and you will live. And these are some of the things, because people don't read they want to listen, they want to imbibe, they want to follow. They don't want to read for themselves. So, and I'm saying this with the necessary carefulness that it deserves, actually, because we have people who cannot read. And which means, what does it mean for them when we say they must read and know? It means those of us who can read, we need to be mindful what we impart to the people around us. And we need to be mindful to make sure that before we can stand in front of people to teach or even to witness in front of them, we ourselves who can read have understood. So oftentimes in the church, we just go and say we are going to witness for people, or we are going for self-study, without actually engaging. Even myself, where I am scared sometimes to talk about certain topics with people. But I am a reader, and I'm an avid reader, but I am scared to talk to people about God, about certain topics, because I don't feel confident. I have not researched enough about those topics, and I cannot even stand and do a self-study with people. But I've seen people, when they are asked questions and they don't know how to tell people what needs to be told, or what the Bible and God says. So let's read.
And also, while we read, it's so important, Edith, that it has a lot to do as well with time management. We need to set aside time to read. Otherwise, because people do buy books, and then they become shelf-help. They don't become self-help. They help the shelf. It's there in the shelf, and you've bought it 3 years ago. You haven't even opened it. So it's important that, yes, I can buy a book, but it also comes with the discipline of setting aside time so that you can read and educate yourself.
Okay, again, there's another verse in the Bible that says, "Study and show yourself approved." Right. So yeah, I think so. My take home now, as we wrap up the segment, is that make the time. Because you're right. I think in theory, like I said when I started, in theory, reading sounds great. We should all read. But practically, it's a different story. So set time to do that. So with that said, we're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Now, before the ad break, we were speaking about some of the things that we need to do to be able to propel ourselves forward. But another thing that I wanted to ask was, when you, as a boss, for lack of a better word, or a supervisor, are considering to promote somebody, what are the qualities that you're looking in that particular individual?
So, Bogolo, I think this is such an important question, and both, I'm sure, Edith and I have sat either on interview panels or whatever to try for promotion or even appointing people. There is nothing as disappointing to me, and I've been on several interview panels. The way you show up in an interview, truly, can it communicate to the panelists that you want the job? I've interviewed often, and then somebody just answers whatever she's been asked or he's been asked. What we would like to see is, how can you walk an extra mile? Can you show that you want that job? Can you, I never forgot this interview. I remember asking this young woman to say, okay, what do you know about our company? And she was saying, oh, not much, only on. There is a website. There is so much, and I feel that certain things you don't even need to be told. You just need to step forward. I even check how you walk. Ne? Walk like an African. No, seriously. Walk like you're serious. I need to see life. Remember that you are seeing this person as a future leader or whatever. So if you walk, like this, already I'm tired just looking at you. And I'm not confusing the two. I'm not talking about introverted or extroverted. I'm just talking about how you show up. That are you showing me that you want this job? Are you showing me that you are willing to walk an extra mile? Or I will have to be picking you up all the time. And I that is why I often tell my kids that, this thing of, no, I'm not a morning person. I'm not, people like doing that. As I never gave birth to an evening or whatever. I gave birth to a child. There's nothing like, I'm not a morning person. It starts there. We need to be correcting that. Show up in life. Show up like you don't apologize for living. When you walk, can the devil feel that, whoa, Kyo Ufikili, she's there. Those are the things. More than you might find that the CV, you've got the qualifications. We're looking for more than that, more than what you're offering. Can I feel that, wow, I can actually rely on this person?
And where do we get that? If you allow the glory of God to reflect in you.
Amen.
As you enter that room,
just
say, Lord, may your glory reflect in me as I sit with those partners. Because this is a very sinful world. And we know how certain people get jobs and all of this. But we have seen instances where God has actually let those kind of shenanigans crumble in front of them, that people actually even ask themselves, how did it happen that we ended up hiring this woman? Because God entered. And I think Mrs. Melefi has already touched quite extensively on interviews, but also with regard to promotion or partnership that we work with, because I think that's what your question is also asking for. With regard to promotion, I think an outstanding work ethic. Amasabata aribereke. I don't want to share stories of instances where I worked with Masabata outside the church, but in the workplace, and they were the greatest disappointment. So let's show up. Let's do what God commands us to do. An outstanding work ethic. You don't need to be dragged to do your work. You know why you are here, and you know why and you will get those promotions, and you will move to the next levels and the next level. You will get those partnerships by working hard. Working hard does not kill you. It will not kill you. It needs you. We have already talked about the time for rest, the time for seclusion, the time for meditation, which each and every one of us need. But also, what really stand outstanding, and perhaps maybe because I work with people, for me, is respect. Do I actually look at this person respect people or not? Including the security at the gate when you are driving in. Including that cleaner when he's asking you, can you shift and I do something on your table or clean the floor? Including those people. And there are instances where I have seen many of our people, especially young people, disrespecting people because of the level of jobs they do. And it's a situation that I want everyone who walks through the gates of where I work and I'm in charge, knowing that they are going to get good services and they are not going to be coming happy and going out of the place upset because somebody disrespected their dignity within the spaces where we work. And I know people also provoke staff. It's possible for people to provoke staff, but let's try to hold our composure. And let's try to and we need to also to be, I like England, because in England, when you enter an office, there's a big sign. We say we don't tolerate people abusing our staff, because they can put boldly that because they've trained their staff to be able to be kind and respectful to people. So when you are coming with your attitude, you are fine, we will prosecute, you'll find it there. And if people are disrespect their staff or provoking their staff. So the staff have all the responsibility to make a client be happy. And I think those are some of the qualities for people that I work with, for people that I partner with, and network with, comes out for me.
And the attitude part, we often talk in the workplace, we often talk about glass ceiling. Other people have a glass bottom, to say, oh, this is too low for me. I can't do this. If I happen to be senior manager, whatever, and I'm in the boardroom, there are cups there that need to be put aside. I won't die if I just, tidy up a little bit if maybe the person who's supposed to be tidying up is not there. There are certain things, little things that we look at, that how do we show up? We often say, do I wear Christ well? And I like it when you're talking about respect and looking down upon people. There are those little things that says, you know what, this person I can actually promote. And you'll notice that I'm talking beyond just our qualifications. It's those characteristics, those qualities that we actually show. Because I cannot always say, this is too low, I'm not going to do it. Because what then? You know, where does it leave me?
And when we are not careful, it might not even come at the workplace, at the restaurant with the waiter. It might come in spaces where you are not expecting it. Simply because you are sitting with the waiter and the way you are going to speak to the waiter, and we are beginning some partnership with you. I'm like, I can't work with this person. Yes. The way he's treating this waiter, so or true. I can't work with this person. Those things, they are very important to me. I look at those things.
So true.
Wow. So what I'm hearing then is Ubuntu. The whole idea of Ubuntu, that I am because you are. Right. Even the very greetings of Africans, we say ahe, meaning agree that I see you, you see me, right? Or sawubona, meaning I see you. So as Africans, we are all about seeing people and being seen. So to acknowledge the presence of someone is something that is key. And as you can hear from these thought leaders, that it's something that can propel you forward in your career, right? So yeah, it is then key. I also hear the work ethic of whatever your hands, the verse in Ecclesiastes that says, whatever your hands finds to do it with all your heart, do it with all your might, because the grave where you're going, there's no working there, right? So this is something that is key, that we need to be so thorough and meticulous in how we do things, that our work should speak for itself, even in our absence, right? That somebody can see, oh no man, there's someone who was here in the way that they have delivered this particular thing, right? Which then makes us to say, let us not be slack in everything that we are doing. Let us be vigilant. Let us be proper. So this is something that is speaking to me. And I think we become slack also often when we feel that maybe I don't want to be here anymore, and then we start to slack, like, okay, no, I don't want to be here, and then you slack, but you're forgetting that who are you representing in that workplace, that even though you don't want to be there, still do your best and put your best foot forward, despite the challenge of I really don't want to be here, but you are still putting your best foot forward. It then also, because we've been speaking about Ubuntu, right? And the importance of respect and how that goes a long way. It makes me then also think about how do you maintain your networking then, right? Because that's a soft skill where you are interacting with people, and how do you know which relationships to invest in? Because I mean, we attend all these conferences, we attend these seminars, and you really want to invest, you want to network with everyone, but I sometimes find that one relationship that you're pouring into actually has a hole, and then that one that you were supposed to pour into, you've neglected, and that was the one that would have gotten you further. So how do you maintain your networks, and how do you ascertain or discern which one would be worthwhile?
Well, I'm a really bad networker. And the question is coming to me to think about these networks. But I'm a really, really bad networker. But I must say the world of social media has made my life easier in terms of keeping networks and keeping myself abreast with the people that I want to intentionally network with. So I maintain them through my LinkedIn, Facebook, all these social media. That's how I maintain some of these networks that I have. But also, I think one of the things that really makes me continue is people who have the same interest in me. And I know that these ones, I want them to go forward, take them forward. So if you are a prayer warrior, then it's even a plus for me, because then I become very intentional about you, and so I tend to sit down around people. I think I would say I have primary networks and I have secondary networks. Okay. Yeah, I think that people play different roles in our lives. So there are people that I cannot do without. They are key. and they have played very significant roles in terms of helping me in my work, in my personal life, and also in my relationships. So they are people that I feel that if somebody calls me, even today, saying we are headhunting, there are people that I know I'll have to talk to them before I sleep today that I got this call. And those are some people that I call my primary networks. And other people, of course, they will know and they will add to that, but they will come at a later stage. So maintaining them, somehow it means that also physically networking with them, those primary ones. Physical networks coming together, strategizing intentionally. We work in a very male-dominated space, a ruthless space, if you like, but you have to sit with a certain group of women to be able to navigate the space. Otherwise, you'll go out of that place crazy.
You know, I've got 3 examples when networking worked for me, and I just want to share. And it's because years ago, I used to work for ESCOM, years ago, and we went to a training program on networking. I really implemented that, and it worked. One example, like I own this company now. It was, years ago, it was owned by a Jewish woman. There was a conference, and she and her partner were giving a talk, and I looked at them. I loved the quality of work. I love everything, and I looked at their file. You know what? And at the course, they reminded us that when you see something beautiful, when you see something good, stand up, reach out, tell them, give the person feedback. During the break, I said, I just love your company. I love how you come across, whatever. And then she gave me her number. And I said, I'd like to get in touch with you. I got in touch later. You know, she said, don't you want to be, I'm cutting a long story short. I became a partner in the business. Then I bought her out. Long time ago, I bought her out. She's in Australia. So for years now, I own my business. But had I not reached out, because there was something that I liked in there, I reached out. Another one, when I was still in the power stations of ESCOM, one of our senior leaders gave a talk. We came to Senton. She gave a beautiful talk, and I remembered that they said reach out. And you know, when you're still junior and somebody is there, you say, should I do it? I reached out. I sent a note. What I did, they really taught us at this course. I searched through. There were no cell phones with pictures at the time. I searched through. I saw her picture in one of the magazines. I took a picture. I took a quotation that she said in that course, and I plastered it next to that. Send it to head office to say, I was in that conference. I was so inspired by what you did. Look at what I got out of that. And the secretary said, wow. Her secretary said, wow, that is even good. I said, can I come and see you? She gave me an appointment. Wow. I went to go and see her. And later, I was appointed and promoted to Megawatt Park, to ESCOM, because I kept a relationship with her. The last example, quick one, also one of the leaders in one of the big companies, she got promoted to a global board. I bought beautiful bouquet of flowers, plus the fruit, whatever, both things delivered at her office. And I said, I'm so proud of you. And indeed I was not just doing it. Truly, I'm so proud of you. You make me proud as a black woman, blah, blah, blah. What I got after that, do you know I got the biggest contract in that company? Because she suddenly said, oh, let's meet for coffee. And we met for coffee. And she says, what do you do? And I showed her what I did. And she said, wow, we're actually looking for your services. If I say one of my biggest contracts came from there. So 3 practical examples of how networking can actually work. But what we shouldn't forget is that go back to your values. There are certain high-profile people, what they are doing, you would not want yourself close to them. So it really goes to the fact that as Christians, we know when God says don't even touch, you would rather not reach out if you know that their behavior is questionable. But networking does happen, and you have to be structured, and it does work.
100%. Wow, this has been a fruitful discussion. I've really enjoyed and I've learned a lot, and I hope you also at home have learned a lot like me. We'll be speaking about networking, that there are primary networks, there are secondary networks, and how to reach out and create new networks using your social media space, using the face-to-face opportunities that you have, and highlighting the good things that people are doing out there, and actually going forward and say, I appreciate this and that you have done. So that's something that is key that I have personally learned and will definitely be implementing in my professional life. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you will have a blessed Sabbath. Amen.